What is up, YouTube? It is Mr. Egoting, and today I have a Sunday Demolition second part to this new series I'm starting. And in this commentary, I'll be this is actually Nuketown Demolition 41 and 11 with the stakeout. I'll be talking about Broken Bones. In the first one, I had Broken Bones Aren't Red. This is pretty much the second story to that. And while I'm on that note about my wrist, I went to the doctor a few days ago and he told me I have 3 more weeks till I can play volleyball, and which is pretty gay. And he told me it was actually really easy to re-break it. And one day I had been skateboarding home and fell pretty hard on my wrist, and it hurt for about 2 hours. So hopefully I didn't re-break that. And he said if I did re-break it, I'd probably need surgery, which would be really really gay because then it would be cool to have surgery, but I'd have like like unnecessary like huge ass scar on my wrist, on my right wrist, and I don't want that. But yeah, so I've only broken 2 bones in my life. I've had a lot of injuries, but I've only broken 2 bones. I broke my wrist in the commentary I talked about, and I broke in my left arm. And the left arm one was a lot more serious because I have a permanent disability now from it. It's not like an insane disability, but in your everyday life, you pretty much use it all the time. So first, I'll talk about how I got injured, and then I'll say the disability. So every summer, my grandma comes out to for graduation, and this time she'd come out for my brother's graduation. I think this was when I was in about 6th grade, and it was near the end of school, so we got out early every other day. So this day we had got out early, and I was riding my bike home to have lunch with my grandma. Actually, my grandma doesn't really have anything to do with it, but it was just the fact that I was riding my bike home to have lunch with her. Um, so I was riding my bike, and I came up on, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a blind spot for a driver and a blind spot for me. It was pretty much at a corner where a building was pretty big, so you couldn't see around the corner. But it wasn't a corner, it was an actual alleyway and then a street. Say the alleyway was going horizontal and the street was vertical, and I was coming down the sidewalk on the vertical, and he was coming on and he being the driver was coming on the horizontal. It's kind of hard to like imagine what I'm saying, but if you saw the spot, you'd know like, oh yeah, that's where you got hit. You know that it was both a blind spot for both of us. So I'm riding my bike, and everything's going fine. It's perfect, and then I come up to this blind spot, and occasionally I stop. I would say 70% of the time I stop to look, and 30% of the time I just go with it because like, what are the chances, honestly? And so this time I'm just gonna go for it, right? So I get to the blind spot, and I go, and I'm gonna start going out into the street. So I start angling myself towards the street instead of just going straight, and that actually might have helped me a little bit. So while I'm angling myself, the car comes out. He like stops right where I'm at. So pretty much it could have been a lot worse. Like I could have flung over his hood and maybe broke like 4 bones, but actually more because I ended up breaking 2 bones in my arm. But I could have like, if I flipped over the hood, I could have broke my car. I could have broke legs. I mean, he could have literally run me over. Luckily, it was a small like Toyota Camry or something. So the car comes. It like stop. It doesn't really hit me, but it stops right in front of me. So I have no choice but to hit it. And and this is exactly the way I broke my arm. Instead of like falling on my shoulder, but it's really an in moment thing. I mean, how many people would really fall on their shoulder or try to do a barrel roll? I ended up just putting all my pressure on my left arm, and now that I talk about it, it's really nasty and like horrifying for me to think of. So I put all my pressure on my left arm, which is not my strong arm. I'm a right-handed person, but it might not have been any different. But I ended up breaking my bone in just 2 places, and not good at all. I had a significant uh, arm drop where like it was like angled in, and I specifically remember after I stood up, I was just crying like automatic. It was just crazy, but yeah, I was just crying, and I remember this kid that hit me was about 16, right? And he was driving with a girl. Now in California, you're not supposed to be driving with anyone in the car until you're like 18. So, and they never even ended up taking his license away, which was one of the worst things about it. But getting to the point, when I stood up, the bitch gets out of the car. I call her bitch because I don't like any of the I don't like any of the people involved. She gets out of the car and she's like, "Oh my god, he broke his arm!" And like I hold up my arm and it's like just disgusting looking. And I'm in sixth grade, so obviously I'm horrified. Um, so the guy's like, "Oh, where do you live? Where do you live?" And I'm like, 5 houses down, like a blue door. I'm trying to tell him what I can, while I'm in like, it's not even pain. It's just like the shock, you know. And he runs down, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember his phone was like a Razor, which was like the shit back then, and it's like a shitty ass phone now. But yeah, I call my brother and I tell him to come to me. Like I got hit by a car and it broke my arm, and like he's like, "Can I use your skateboard?" Instead of just like running down there, he asked me if I can use the skateboard. I'm like, "Of course, man, you can use my skateboard. Come down here." Um, so he skateboards down here, and he looks at my arm and he's like, "Ooh," and like some guy had stopped, which is a really nice thing of him to do. He had like a truck, and he calls 911. So the ambulance and a fire truck come. I think it was an ambulance and a fire truck, or it was just like firemen that were the EMT kind of dudes. Um, so they know that I break my arm. So they put my arm in a sling, or not a sling, pressure cast. And while we're on the ride to the hospital, which is like a 2 mile drive, he's just trying to like talk me out of it. Um, he's like, "So what do you like to do?" And he's just like getting in this conversation with me so I can focus on like talking to him and not that. So we get to the hospital and like he was asking questions like, "What do you like to do?" And I was like, "Video games." And he's like, "Do you like play PlayStation?" I'm like, "Yeah, I play PlayStation." So things of that nature. So we finally get to the hospital and I end up waiting like 15 minutes just laying on this hospital bed, and then the doctor comes in, and then they put this, and I remember the door over. I was like scared of what that person was going through. It was some chick, and she was excruciating pain, like insane amounts of pain. It was like a horror movie. She was just screaming crazy, and I don't know how old she was or anything. But and I'm really not fond of needles, and they end up putting a morphine in my arm, and I was like, ugh. And I'm in sixth grade, so it's even worse. But they put it like a sling on my arm, and actually after that, I really thought of sending like a thank you note to the EMTs that got me, but I couldn't muscle up the courage to do it, and I really didn't know who they were. But I actually get the bulky amounts of my kills on this chopper gun, if that's how you say it. But this is actually coming to an end, so I'll probably do a part two. But yeah, I thought about sending them a thank you note, but I never ended up getting around to it. So after all that, and they put that fake cast on me, I go to my actual hospital where they put a real cast on, and I sit in that bed. And one of the worst things about it is I'm a huge NBA fan, and it was the night that the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade and Shaq had beaten the Dallas Mavericks for the championship. They beat him in 6 games or something. But whatever, this is coming to an end. But yeah, that's part one. I'll probably do a part two. Hopefully, I end this hopefully right now. Like and comment, guys. This was actually a good commentary. Peace out.